Navigating the Four podcast, where we discuss all things faith, healing, leadership, and communication. Exploring the topic of communication, I'm Matt Barker, and I'm joined by the other hosts of the podcast tackling the topic of faith. We have Freed Hardeman, Professor of Bible, Matt Cook.
Hey, guys.
Exploring the perspective of leadership, we have Assistant Dean of Emerging and Innovative Programs at Freed Hardeman, Mr. Jared Gott.
Hello.
And giving us the perspective of all things mental health, we have Director of the University Counseling Center at Freed Hardeman, Mr. Nathan Judd. Turtle. And then we're back to the turtle again. I have to listen to episode 1 to understand that one. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Navigating the Four, where we bring you real talk, fresh perspectives, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're in the middle of figuring life out or just here for some good conversation, you're in the right place. So grab a seat, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's start navigating the four together. All right, welcome to Season 2, Episode 2, where we'll dive into the topic of leadership versus influencer, the role of social media in leadership. To talk about that, we'll turn it over to our leadership guy, Jared Gott.
All right, so I don't have a real eloquent way to kick this episode off. So here is sort of my stream of consciousness thoughts.
Scary.
Isn't it? The other day I was online and was reading through something, and it was talking about the idea of being like a thought leader. And I had heard that term before, but I really never paid attention to it. And so I began to sort of dive into that a little bit. A thought leader, it actually, like if you Google it, it comes up with a dictionary definition of a person whose views are to be taken to be authoritative and influential. And so it then goes on to talk about thought leaders are those who are experts in their field. They are leading people's thoughts. They are sort of shaping conversations within their field. They are shaping opinions. They are influencing others sort of with their own expertise. So I began to think, I was trying to come up with episodes for this podcast that had to deal with leadership. And I began to think like, okay, well, how is a thought leader different from what we traditionally think of as a leader? And the more I looked into it, then it became, well, wait a minute. Is there a difference between a thought leader or a leader on social media platforms versus like what we have come to add to our dictionary as the idea of an influencer? Yeah. And what is the difference? And so I'm going to give you a little bit of the research that I've done on this. Like I went and Googled the top 10 social media influencers of all time. And I found an article from Time Magazine that is pretty recent, end of July. And so it had the top 10 social media influencers of all time according to AI. Now, I am probably about to, in these next few articles, butcher a lot of these names. Mm-hmm. So if I say something wrong that you guys know of, please correct me, okay? Especially, like Nathan, there will probably be some in like psychology or things that I may not know. So the top 10 influencers according to AI, here's the list. And we'll talk about these, I guess, just a little bit as we go down. But number 1, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian, right, influencer, but also has multiple billion-dollar companies at this point with a net worth of 1.7 billion, number of followers over 400 million across social media platforms. She is the number 1 listed influencer. Number 2, wow, Cristiano Ronaldo, soccer player, football player.
I didn't even know he was online.
That's the thing. I don't know that he is. I don't know that. I mean, he has accounts online, but I don't know if that's actually him or if that's managed by like a media team. Regardless, an $800 million net worth, over 1 billion combined social media follows, right? So he is number 2.
Oh, so that's what we're going with, like right now, ranking social media follows.
I'm trying to see what the context is for why they gave them these 10. It's an AI generated
followers,
list.
I would think.
I'm assuming, but I don't know that it necessarily goes in descending order.
Okay.
Right? Because he has more followers combined than Kim Kardashian, but is considered the second highest influencer. It probably pulls a variety of different things. Number 3 is Kylie Jenner, so related to Kim Kardashian. Number 4, Mr. Beast. YouTube person.
I love Mr. Beast.
So Mr. Beast, net worth of $1 billion, according to this list. 350 million followers on YouTube, according to this list. 5 is, here we go with the names. Charli D'Amelio, I think is how that's pronounced. A TikTok influencer, TikTok dancer, like just rose to celebrity during that. 6 is, okay, Matt, this is where you may come at Matt Barker, because I'm not sure about this on YouTube. I think it's PewDiePie.
Oh,
Is that it?
PewDiePie.
Nathan,
right?
maybe no. I don't know.
I know of her.
I think it's a him.
Or him. I know of him like just through the grapevine of watching Mr. Beast and things like that.
Yeah.
Through the grapevine,
Hey,
sure.
no, PewDiePie was in online influencer chess tournament at one point.
He was one
I
of
think
the
that's when I found
earliest. I'm pretty sure like one of the earliest YouTube
Yeah.
sort of influencers. I know I've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah.
He did like gaming content and stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I know I've seen some
But
stuff.
I'm obviously not like super familiar with him. I call
Well,
it her.
I've only know 3 of these so far, so I know the Kim Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, and Mr. Beast are the only ones I know.
Cristiano
I don't even know the soccer
Ronaldo.
guy.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And PewDiePie.
I don't follow.
What number are we on?
I don't know.
I didn't know the
I don't follow
one
soccer
name.
though.
we're on number 7.
Okay.
This is Addison Rae.
Don't know that.
Social media personality known for singing and acting, mainly on TikTok. 8. I'm gonna skip 8 because I don't have a clue how to pronounce that name.
come
Number
on.
number
Give
9.
it a shot.
on.
Give it a shot, Jared.
I will not. Number 9 is Logan Paul. Logan Paul. I mean, the platforms vary, right? YouTube primarily, but now boxing, wrestling, vlogging. I mean,
Very
all that stuff.
controversial boxer.
Sure. And number 10, Emma Chamberlain,
I
who
know the
is a
name.
YouTube name, looks like influencers, luxury brands, stuff like that. So these are the top 10 influencers of all time on social media, according to AI. Now, what I did was...
And that's on Time Magazine.
That's on Time
not
Magazine.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's a fairly legit source.
There's
Yeah.
something to that list. Now, I went to another site and looked up who are the biggest leaders in social media. And the
Okay,
article is titled Current 50 Leaders in Social Media. Now, granted, this is from 2024. And what I was trying to look at is, does this article define leaders differently? Like I was expecting maybe some world leaders or, the Pope, the Dalai Lama, like some, leaders in the world that a lot of people would follow.
maybe outside of social media.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have current 50 leaders in social media, and here are their top 10. Number 1, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Wow.
Right. We start again with this list. Number 2, Justin Bieber. Number 3, Ariana Grande. Number 4, Selena Gomez. 5 is Taylor Swift. 6 is
Okay.
The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. 7 is Katy Perry. 8, Kylie Jenner. 9, Rihanna. 10, Kim Kardashian.
So only 2 of those 10 are the same, right? The Cristiano Ronaldo and Kim
3,
Kardashian. Oh,
Kylie
3.
Jenner,
Okay.
Kardashian, Ronaldo. So on that list, now granted, it's a year old, so 3 of those are the same. And I was, again, looking for top 50 leaders. And if you work your way down the list, like number 19, Barack Obama. Further down, there are a few other like technology or corporate leaders in here. But for the most part, it's musicians, it's YouTube celebrities, folks like that.
Entertainers.
So then I searched specifically for thought leaders. These are
Mine's got to be on this list. I keep thinking you're going to say the name.
Okay,
of the
well, don't
person that
say
I
it
listen
yet.
to.
Let's
I'm
see
not,
if it
I'm
comes
not,
up.
but I'm like, wow, this person has to be at the top.
marketing thought leaders to follow on social media. So I guess these are specific to marketing. This is
Marketing,
probably
yeah.
a marketing
Yeah, mine's not one.
thing. And a lot of these, I'm not going to read these names. No offense to all these people. The only one on this list that I recognized was number 7 on the list, Seth Godin. He's written a lot of like motivational sort of business books like The Dip, Purple Cow, things like that. The rest of these, they're like chief marketing officers for LinkedIn, different blog sites, things like that. But I went to my own social media and looked at, okay, who do I follow? Who would I consider a leader that I follow? And it's interesting. I don't follow a lot of people I might traditionally consider leaders.
Same.
Like I don't follow a lot of politicians. I think we've seen, without making this a podcast on politics, I think we've seen a lot of politicians just sort of cringely use social media. I will get my news from somewhere, but I don't want it to be my social media platform. I don't follow a lot of even leaders within education. Like I follow some groups and different ones, but I follow a lot of like musicians. I follow a lot of chefs. I follow a lot of people who make uplifting type content. And so I guess I follow a lot of influencers or thought leaders within their areas of expertise, but I wouldn't follow a lot of people that you consider traditional leaders. So all that to be said, what is the difference from y'all's opinion? We're not going to solve I don't think we're going to solve a lot of problems on this episode or really unravel any new information, but what is the difference? What differentiates a leader from an influencer? Or is there a difference?
I think a leader and influencer, I was trying to think of this beforehand, and I think the difference is in their purpose and their motivation for doing what they're doing. So if we think about a leader, uses social media as a tool to guide, maybe motivate and serve a mission, focusing on how they can help other people. I think an influencer sometimes we think of is like they're growing their brand, their business, and they're looking out for how they can make more money, is at least the way when I look at it. If I look at someone like Kim Kardashian, for example, she probably is, I would consider her an influencer, but I think a lot of what she does is not necessarily to raise awareness for these big issues that are going on. It's more just like, how can I sell my brand? How can I sell whatever it is I'm selling? Maybe true, maybe not. That's the impression I get from their show, just their life, all that kind of stuff. So maybe I have the wrong impression of them. I follow a guy that my kids watch, and his name is Ryan Trahan. And if anybody's heard of this candy, Joyride candy, it's supposed to be like really healthy candy, less sugar, all this kind of stuff. And I've actually tried it. The candy's actually decent. We need to get them to be a sponsor of our podcast. It's good stuff. The sour blue raspberry ropes are great. All that aside, though, one of the things he just did on YouTube, he had a whole series visiting 50 states in 50 days and staying at an Airbnb. But what he did throughout the whole thing was raising money for St. Jude. And so each one, he had people donating, raised $12 million. And so I think of people like him, he has a brand, he's selling candy, and I'm sure, of course, he's promoting that along the journey, but he also had other things. I'm a big servant leadership guy, so I look at a lot of people I follow and different things and articles I read are on servant leadership. How can we look out for other people? He's using his platform in a way where he is not only getting his brand out there, but he's also helping all these children at St. Jude in the process. So he's using his platform for the good, not to pick on Kim Kardashian and some of those that I mentioned earlier, but I think there's a difference sometimes in people that are just looking out for how they can advance their brand and not doing some of those other things that we would consider role models and good people and how other people should live their life. So I think leaders focusing maybe more on others, influencers focus more on how they can build their brand. At least that's the way maybe I differentiate it. It might be completely wrong. It's just first impressions. That's what comes to my mind.
When you said Kim Kardashian, for instance, I've never thought of her as a leader, but then you mentioned her having several businesses and things. So are we talking about leaders of the online community, or are we talking about leaders who happen to be online?
I think that's a fair question.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't know that I'm willing to just outright say, yeah, Kim Kardashian's a leader. I don't think that she herself is leading all these corporations that fall under their brand. Mm-hmm. I do think that corporations that are built on somebody like that do have to take cues from that individual. So maybe I'm answering the question with a question. Mm-hmm. Do leaders in general have to be influencers?
Do influencers turn into leaders?
I think that's a no.
The example I gave, the guy, Ryan Trahan, he might have started his YouTube channel to promote his candy, but what is he doing now with it is, in a way, leading others to think about things differently. So can influencers kind of turn into that? And why could they not, Jared?
And this conversation, I guess, is kind of the point of this podcast, right? Or the point of this episode of this podcast. I think that leadership in general, as we think about it, is already undergoing a change in 2025. Mm-hmm. The ways that we talk about leadership will be different moving forward. So my gut reaction is all leaders have to have influence to some capacity.
Yeah.
All influencers do not necessarily lead. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, I think, Matt, what you're talking about, yes, it sounds like that person is using their platform to do something that is good outside of themselves. Now that I just said that definitively, I'm already backtracking on it because I'm thinking like, well, if an influencer, if Mr. Beast creates a fun YouTube channel, but all of a sudden has 350 million followers who are tuning in, who are ingesting their content, who are investing part of their lives into that. I mean, now he's what? We have TV shows, we have candy bars, we have like, yeah. Are people following Mr. Beast? That's what we call social media engagement, followers. So is an influencer, by nature of the audience that they have, whether or not they intend to lead, are they leading?
Yeah, I'm weighing through some of this with you too. And see, I wouldn't necessarily call Mr. Beast a thought leader. I love what he does. He may do a little bit of that, but mostly his videos are just him having a good time, putting together some ridiculous things, handing out a lot of money.
Sure.
I do think he's a strong leader. Like, he's very business minded
Sure.
and has done some amazing things with business, but I don't think he's intending to direct people's thoughts per se as far as like what his goal is.
It may happen.
Yeah.
Like he may unintentionally be a thought leader, but I don't think that's his intention.
No, I don't think so either.
Maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but I think
And part of that is not knowing what else goes on in their lives, right? Because I would argue if I'm a YouTube executive or I'm anybody trying to come up through YouTube, I'm looking to Mr. Beast as the model
for sure
that then I want
That's
to follow.
true. Yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
there's no telling what conversations may be happening where he is a thought leader within that specific field.
That's true. And he's talked about that. He's
Sure.
helped people build their channels, and he won't say who that is, but
Right.
And some influencers might shy away from saying that they are a certain way because they might not want to offend one way or the other. So that as far as a thought leader, they might maybe stay away from that publicly. They might have their own thoughts, but then on camera, they might not say a lot. You know, I don't want you to think this way politically or whatever it is, because they don't want to lose followers, and they also don't want to maybe shape something in the way that they don't intend.
So let me pivot the conversation a little bit. And I mentioned like there are some politician videos on both sides of the aisle that just send a chill up my spine, where it's not, they haven't done anything wrong. I'm just like, oh, we're doing trends. We're doing memes in political accounts. Like, what is that? Can you be a leader in 2025 and not engage in social media?
Okay, maybe one of the things I want to add to the conversation, and this doesn't exactly answer your question. For me, the key, and especially for this podcast and most likely our listeners, it's like, what's a Christian thought leader look like? For most of our listeners, that's the question I think we've got to ask. Sure. And there's a difference between an influencer, a thought leader, and then a Christian thought leader, right? Which will be guided by some higher principles, some biblical principles. And so
that's you. You're the Christian thought leader now. You have a podcast.
Navigating the four.
No.
No pressure, man.
So what was your question originally there that I...
Sorry.
In 2025 and beyond, can you be a leader outside of social media engagement? Pound the table.
Yes. Now, will it limit? May you not reach the hundreds of thousands of people that you might reach if you were online? But why aren't we satisfied with saying a Christian leader can impact his or her flock, or his or her church, or his or her students? When did we get to a point where we thought the only way I can be a leader is if somehow I put my voice out there, literally as I'm speaking into a microphone for a podcast,
right?
I put my voice out there for thousands, hopefully millions of people to hear. Like, why can't I be satisfied with saying, you know what, my sphere of influence are the people that I interact with every day, or the people at my church, or the people at my university? And so I think we've got some real problems, and we think you have to be online and you have to be all over social media, because then we run into some severe motivation problems, in my opinion.
So I agree with you, right? Because I almost said before you were,
Pounding
for our
the
listening
table.
audience, acting as if you were pounding the table, right? Like, yes, I can be a leader in my home. I can be a leader in my church. I can be a leader in my community and not have to rely on social media. Let's also understand each of us around the table is in our 40s. And by the time social media came along, we were somewhat fully formed adults, right? And so if we were growing up right now in 2025, would I be cultivated by society to believe that I had leadership potential outside of social media engagement? When I see, again, Matt, I agree with what you're saying, but like when I see, I'm following a ton of church accounts, right? Or the people that I see speak at youth rallies or devotionals and stuff, they have a social media presence. Or, my faculty, my university presidents, even my local elected officials, right? When I see all these people engaged, am I conditioned to believe that in 2025 you have to be on social media to have leadership?
I think most people who have grown up in this time period would say yes. I think But I'm actually clarifying too in my mind, like, what is it we're defining? I'm almost picturing three different things. It's like there's a leader, meaning a leader of an organization. Mm-hmm. And then I like that. I've never heard thought leader, but thought leader meaning someone who affects the thoughts of people, and then which is not necessarily a leader of an organization, but is leading something. I'm even thinking like Martin Luther King Jr.
Sure.
was a thought leader.
Absolutely.
Before social media was around. And then the influencer is there a difference between a thought leader and an influencer? So I would almost set aside just leader in general. It's like that's definitely different than an influencer, but is there a difference between thought leader and influencer? That's what I'm trying to work through.
Matt Barker, you've been real quiet.
It's a difficult question because, like you mentioned, some people have grown up with this technology, and it would be like I was trying to think of a tool that we had at our disposal growing up that if we wouldn't use this, there would be like people would say, why are you not using this? This is a tool that's available to you. That's social media to these people that are growing up now, our kids. So for them, it's just a natural thing. Why would we not use social media? So to Jared's point, I think that's very true. It's like, this is not something that's like outside the norm. For them, it's like, why would we not use this? This is a tool. We can reach millions of people if we do this. Why would we not? For us, it seems a little bit like, well, we never had this and we were just fine. So maybe some of that's dependent upon the business organization you're a part of. Some might rely on that more than others. People that are starting businesses today probably would be like, yeah, I'm definitely using this. We're going to get our brand out there to this many people. I think there is some negatives to that. I think we can have a lot of positives associated with relationship building, networking, getting our information out to so many people. But what about all the negatives of that too? We've seen people that have been in the public eye that have just ruined their business as a result of these negative things that are associated with it. And there's kind of that temptation there to like, when we think about chasing that popularity, right? If we start out with it to promote our business, but then we get so many people following us, that can kind of become our focus. And we're like, I want to have like 20 million followers like this guy does. And our motivation isn't to lead, it's to get people to like us. And it's not necessarily focused on others like our business or organization, it's focused on us. So I think there are a lot of negatives associated with it that we have to think about as well.
It's interesting. We're talking about some of the guys you hear at youth rallies and stuff like that. I started looking them up, like just on Facebook, just because I have my laptop here. And I looked up the 3 or 4 guys that you see their names the most on the big events in Churches of Christ. Very minimal social media activity.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. At the same time, is it possible to say, okay, that's fine, they're not using social media a lot, but they already have a platform through their church. It's their church's platform that puts their name out there, right? And so it's easy to say, okay, I'm not going to use social media as a platform because that feels icky for me or whatever, braggy or whatever. Well, yeah, okay. Well, my church is putting content out there with me on it. You know what I mean? So it's like, right. No matter how I spin it, social media is being used in some way to help all of us, even if it's just our organization, to be thought leader in some way. So I struggle with this. One of the ways that I struggle with this is think about some of the people out there who are thought leaders online. Here's the question I wrote down a minute ago. Is it possible to be an online thought leader that no one actually would follow in person? Where, they got all kinds of words and they love to put it out there and they love to get all the likes and the clicks and the followers. But like maybe the reason they're doing that or feel the need to do that is because in their real life community, nobody's actually listening to them.
Or they're not a super great person in person, but they portray themselves a certain way online.
Yeah,
that
and
happens a lot.
They have this large following kind of all over the place, but like they've never really been able to pull that off in person because of however they do it or their attitude or whatever. And so that's where I struggle. Social media gives everyone a platform, and there are some people who don't need a platform.
I would agree.
And so that's a tension I feel here. And I see that even, I'm going to pick on kind of as the faith guy here. I think about my brothers in the ministry world who like to share everything they do in ministry and everywhere they've been and everywhere they're going. And like for me, it's hard to imagine Jesus doing that. Being like, hey, here's where I've been. So blessed to have been here this week. Or
Hashtag blessed.
And it's just that kind of like, why? Is it for more attention? Is it for more likes? Is it so people will then think I'm a thought leader? Like, why do we feel the need as Christian leaders, especially, to put everything out there that we're doing or what we're going to do and put it in. I mean, you can put it in humble words, right? But is it actually humility? And for me personally, like, I couldn't do it. It wouldn't be. If I put all my stuff out there, it'd be like, I'm bragging right now. I could make it sound real humble, and my intentions at first would be pure, but the more likes I get, the more comments, it's like, oh, it feels good.
You made a good, interesting point too. I was talking to Jared about this at I think it was a youth rally or something we were at, and you get this hype around certain people speaking, and it's all promoted on social media. And we went to one session, and it was a guy I didn't even know that well. And we left, and I was like, that was awesome. Like, I don't even know exactly who that guy is, but I've learned a lot from that. And even not to diss on those other people, but I'm like, even the ones that were hyped up, I think I learned more from that session than the ones that were hyped up the most. So sometimes it's not always, like you said, the ones that are promoted the most or have the best social media following. Sometimes it's the content they're talking about that you learn more from. But we get sidetracked a lot of times by the hype and the build up and the social media presence, for sure, I think.
But to your point, I think the younger generation probably doesn't agree with what I've just said and doesn't get it. And I've had recently a guy came to me and said, hey, can I just start creating some shorts for you? Like, from your online content, from like the YouTube stuff on Snake? I said, no. I don't want that. He's like, listen, I'm telling you, here's what he said, you'd reach a lot more people. And to me, it's just like, for me, that would become a pride issue. Not that anybody would listen to it anyway, but if they did, it'd be like, ooh, this feels good. But so I think that younger generation doesn't understand, and he did not understand when I was like, nah, no thanks to that. So there's a lot of tension here for me.
So this maybe is a good segue into my next question, which gets into the idea of followers and those who are following different platforms on various social media accounts. They are growing up in a way that they receive thoughts and words and things differently. And you just mentioned, right, like, rather than a whole sermon, if you could make shorts, little clips, then man, who knows how many people you could reach. And so has the speed and brevity of social media, do you think that it is helping, or I really just kind of framed the question poorly, but do we think that it is helping or hurting a leader's ability to communicate and lead others?
It's helping get their attention, but it's not always helping them when they're in the weeds doing all the stuff. I mean, I'm thinking of the example you gave just now with a sermon. You can get their interest in a sermon. They still got to sit through that Sunday night sermon that's an hour long, and they're not going to like it. I can build up a class on communication all I want, but they're still going to have to sit through that 50-minute to an hour class, and they're going to have to learn a little bit. So I think that promotion aspect is there, but they still it kind of requires that compromise. Like, they still have to engage in the content in a different way that they're not always used to, even though they grow up with social media. They have to come out of their comfort zone just like sometimes we do as well. I think it's a little bit give and take there for sure.
I'm thinking it's not necessarily good or bad, but it can be a tool, and even what you were saying, Matt, like, I think I would struggle with that, especially if my goal was like, not that my goal is not Christianity, but like that's in your field. And so if you were to do a social media thing, that's probably where it would be naturally.
Self-promotion feels icky in the Christian field.
Yeah. And so I think it could just go either way. I mean, I can definitely see where it would help. I'm thinking about the president of our university uses social media a lot. It's a great marketing tool for him, and it's a good way to do fundraising and keep alumni informed, and so, but it can definitely get into that negative too. So
I'm thinking outside of a faith viewpoint, just from like a business or an organizational standpoint. I mean, common understanding is that if you were to start at an organization, or if an organization is at the start of a new strategic plan, operational plan, however you want to define that, you're probably expecting to not see the plan fully implemented and the outcomes of the plan until year 3, right? It takes time to get initiatives in place, and then to get them smoothly running, and then to see the outcome. If we have a generation and a culture coming up that is used to quick, like, get my information quick, like, at what point are they being cultivated in patience, right? At what, and from a leadership standpoint, if you're just used to the quick hits, if I'm trying to build culture, which involves a lot, like, that can take a long time. That may involve getting people out of positions into new positions. I mean, that could take a while. Then what do followers look like if leaders are trying to really make transformational change over a period of time? Can they be bought in when we're getting used to just give me the high points and let me move on, to the next thing? I don't know. I don't know what that will look like.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Freed Hardeman just in general here. I mean, we're looking for a president right now, and you better believe the person that they get. I mean, this is like when President Shannon came in. I don't know how big on social media he was before he came in, but he quickly, learned some of the things and used that to get the message out and different things like that. So thinking about like Freed Hardeman in general, thinking about the recruiting process of students. Jared, you worked in admissions years ago.
Sure.
I remember when I was recruited or just information, it was in the mail. I got a thing in the mail. And now the way they utilize social media to recruit students, to get them information out, what Freed Hardeman's about, some, highlights of what the university is about, all those kinds of things. It's just a tool that's used now. And going forward, you mentioned like how that shapes future leadership. And you think about leadership changing a little bit here at Freed Hardeman. That's going to be a focus is like, how familiar are you with marketing, but also social media? It maybe years ago when other presidents came in, maybe wasn't as much of a priority, but now it's definitely going to be a focus on how they utilize that to just a different way we reach students now than we used to. So it's definitely something they got to use more than they used to use for sure.
I don't know this for sure, but the president has been mentioned a couple times of our university. I don't think he used social media at all before he came here and felt like he had to. And he did have to. You have to do this in his position.
Sure.
But isn't it interesting? He became a significant leader, speaking everywhere, ultimately becomes a president with nearly zero
social media
his
presence.
influence was because of who he was and the impact that he had on a church and in churches. And I guess for me, that's where it should start. And if it builds beyond that, and then he's able to build a platform online because of the character-driven leadership that he has already built, that feels better to me. Yeah.
And his environment changed, but his mission didn't. And the whole point of a lot of what he puts out on social media was still focused on what's the mission of Freed Hardeman, to develop God-given, all those things that he preached on for years. And so the message, changed slightly as far as what he was communicating, but it wasn't to where it was different than what he was doing already. He just did it in a different way. So like to Matt Cook's point, it's like, he was doing the same things he was doing. He just found a different way to reach different people. Same message was there, though.
So to maybe begin to summarize this and sort of put a bow on the episode, I think that what we've said is when you think of influencer and maybe thought leader, even differentiating those two, influencer seems to be driven more by attention, self-promotion. A thought leader does tend to maybe be driven a little more by impact, at least with the community that they engage with.
Yeah.
I do think that thought leader is not, certainly it's not the only kind of leaders we're going to see from this point forward, right? It will become another style of leadership that is talked about. There will be servant leadership, there will be transformative leadership, all these different things. And there will likely, in an age of social media, be thought leadership, right? Where you are just becoming an expert or an academic in that field and sort of putting content out so that people can grow in their own knowledge. But you do not have to be a thought leader to be a leader, right? I think we all agree on that. I think this will be very interesting to watch over the next decade or so to see like what this looks like. I'm curious just for each of you, last thoughts as we wrap up on social media and leadership.
I would, from a Christian perspective, I would encourage anyone who is posting and hoping to be a leader or whatever, just ask the question, why am I posting this? And if there's anything in me that's like, I really need and want this attention, then we've got a problem. So I would compare like Matthew 6:1, don't do your acts of righteousness to be seen by others. You already have your reward. Do what you do for your Father in heaven. Do it in secret. So if there's anything in me that's like looking for attention from others, that's a problem. On the other hand, earlier in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:16, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. So like, how do I balance don't do things to be seen by others with what Jesus says in Matthew 16, like let your light shine to be seen by others. And I think that can happen online.
It can.
And so I'm just going to ask the question, why am I posting this and how am I balancing Matthew 6:1 and Matthew 5:16?
That's a really good thought. Mine is not nearly as groundbreaking as that. The whole time you were reading that list, I'm like, how is Joe Rogan not showing up on that list?
Sure.
As a thought leader? Isn't he the number one podcaster?
If he's not number one, he's certainly there at the top.
Yeah, I'm just blown away that he never showed up. I mean, he's definitely a thought leader.
Sure.
Whether you like him or not. So anyway, that's the thought I have. It's not
Right.
hugely groundbreaking from a mental health standpoint.
No, I mean, there are other thought leaders who want to get on his platform because of the amount of people they can reach.
Yeah.
Ooh, but there's a lot to be said about mental health and social media.
Yeah, actually, so I am.
Man.
Yeah, I am thinking. I was having a conversation with my friend the other day, and he posed a question of, does it give someone? How did he word it? The contrast was, which is better, someone who has a lot of credentials, or someone who is like a major influencer and has a following and who should be making decisions. Anyway, either side of that is like probably not great. So anyway, it was a cool conversation.
Yeah, my final thought would just be kind of piggybacking off what Matt Cook just said. Think about your purpose before you're posting. One of the differences that I was talking about between a leader and an influencer is the motivation and purpose behind why you're posting. Is it focused on yourself? Is it focused on others? Is it focused on a certain mission that you have, or is it focused just on you promoting yourself? So I think when we think about our relationships with others, our leadership with organizations, our Christian faith, mental health, whatever it is we're talking about, using social media in the right way involves us not always trying to promote ourselves, but to promote something else, a mission, and having the purpose in mind before we post. Think about what you're posting before you post would be a good rule to go by, because not only focusing on what content you're getting out there, but also what's the reason behind your posting it. And if we think that through a little bit before we post something, hopefully that'll help us to be a little more conscious about what we're posting.
Yeah, thinking about it from a leadership standpoint, I think the big question, even outside of a faith basis, to ask is, as a leader, I'm trying to manage and promote a mission and values of my group, my organization, et cetera. So does the social media engagement promote those things, or is it self-glorification? And then you get a good starting point. Wrap it up, Matt.
Cue the music.
Cue the music.
All right. Thanks for joining us on Navigating the Four for today's episode. We hope that today's conversation sparked something real in your faith, your healing, your leadership, or your communication. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and keep navigating the four. We'll see you next time on Navigating the Four podcast.